Welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm. Today and this week, it's all about making the house merry and bright for the holidays. There's a storm fast approaching off the coast. The rain has started to fall, and there is an impending tropical storm that's going to descend on our farm. So I'm making ready by just buttoning down the hatches on different greenhouses and the low tunnels, just making sure everything is safe for the storm. The warm rains have already started to fall steadily. It's the start of the holiday season, so I'm walking through all the motions of making the house merry and bright. I'm keeping it really simple this year. We've put up the tree a little bit earlier than we normally do, adding in all the ornaments, each one having a special memory, each one gifted by one of my brothers and sisters, and a few from my mother and father. There's so much meaning behind all these ornaments as I am putting them on the tree with my children. They each hold a story of every year that has passed. With our ornament exchange as our family is so large, it's the only thing we can do to show love and appreciation that time of year. So we handpick each name out, and you get to choose something that is fitting. This year, the two special ornaments that my mother and father had handpicked for me mean so much more. There's a little bit of them in the design, something that they would appreciate and know that I would love. So from the gold sparkly ornament to the pine cone shaped in a lantern, these are my most treasured ornaments this year. I've added a few touches throughout the house. A new photo I found at the Christmas market last week was of a gentleman ice skating alone. The wind's blowing in his face, his hands tucked behind his back, and he is just sailing through life. Or at least it looks like it, and for some reason, the mood on his face matches my own, and so I thought it was appropriate to hang it right next to the tree. I do think it turned out absolutely beautiful, and I love the touch and the mood that it sets for the living room. I have my 2 containers here. This is just a vintage, I think from the 1940s, kind of like an Art Deco. It's got like a light pink to it, which I absolutely love. We use this in like for a floral arrangement. And then this is like a soup terrain, which is beautiful. It's all white, creamy white. It's got a little bit of a crackle to the base or the paint, which is really pretty. So I'm using both of these for my decor in the dining room, just carrying that white garden theme from outside to inside. So what I have here is just an assortment of pine cones in the basket. I've got a little bit of moss to kind of hide and cover up and trail down. I have my amaryllis, and the one I chose, so the amaryllis I chose was just a white one. That's all they kind of, well, they had like a red and a pink and a variegated or two-toned, but I wanted to keep that white simple look. And so this is the white amaryllis. It's that big, beautiful bloom. You know, amaryllis do best in a really bright light. So I have this on my dining room table, which has a big light over the top of it that's gonna shine down. And what that does is prevents it from stretching too far. Room temperature is best in the wintertime for amaryllis to grow well. In the summertime, sometimes, you know, we keep our old bulbs and then we put them out in the summertime and they will bloom and look beautiful, kind of add a little bit of a tropical feel to your porch pots, and they bloom beautifully after that. So when you first plant it, you want to give it a little bit of water, and then you want to just kind of keep it a simple moisture, not over moist. Sometimes I kind of forget about them and they do just fine. They have that big bulb to kind of hold all that moisture in. After your amaryllis is done blooming, then you want to cut just the bloom head down towards the leaves and leave all the leaf foliage so that it can draw all that energy back into making a new bloom next year or the following summer. The other thing I have is some paperwhites. These paperwhites are grown in Israel, but we have a few here. We normally order these wholesale every single year. You can see it's tipped over just because it's been in this little mesh bag, but it'll straighten right up, and they get really, really tall with this beautiful white flower that has this amazing smell. So I thought I would group both of them together to make just a beautiful little garden here for the table. So let's get to planting. This year I started with a garden theme outside the home, the porch, kept it very simple. And so I decided to go ahead and bring that look into the home and my decor this year. I'm taking a few dishes from the hutch, and I am making a garden with paperwhites and an amaryllis. I chose this color palette, white and green, because I wanted to keep with that look of the front porch. It's always good when you're designing your home to kind of keep themes repeating and repeating and repeating. And it doesn't mean that you have to, you know, not have one room have something that's a little bit different. But if you keep that same feel and look, it makes the home feel a little more cohesive. So this year, that's what I've chosen to do. And it isn't more fitting than one of my mother's favorite colors is green. She loved green, white, and a touch of yellow. So I've done a green and white theme, and it will remind me of her throughout this season. And she always loved paperwhites. She loved that smell. Some people don't like the smell, but I think it will remind me of her. And then that amaryllis, that beautiful white, will set off that big bloom that's just showy and beautiful, just like she was. So I wanted to do a little tribute to my mother. She was one of the most amazing people I've known. And over the years, I have come to find out she was a very special person, not your typical mother. She had so much love and so much care, and also just this ability to make her life's work simple. And so how fitting for me to be able to design her home this year simply. And I didn't even plan that. So my mother always had an open heart and open arms for everyone. She had no lines between who was able to sit at her table. She loved each and every one of us as much as she loved the people around her. She took in people that didn't have mothers or didn't have mothers like her. My mom had 12 children, so for her to take the role on of listening to people, she was an expert at that. Listening and understanding and feeling. She had your 100% devotion and was always, come sit, in the kitchen. She would pour you a cup of coffee or tea, grab you something to eat. That was her love language. She was a homemaker, and that was her role, and she took it very, very seriously. She set the tone for me as a mother, and she guided me in homemaking from canning to taking care of children to the hard times when things weren't going quite right, either in my marriage or with my children. She always had a word. She would always say, lay it down, Beth, lay it down. You cannot do this with your own two hands. So every time I would think, I can do this on my own strength. And my mom would say, lay it down, Beth, lay it down, because you cannot. I have learned over the years, you have to ask for help. As a homemaker, my mother wasn't an expert. It's just like any job. She would work on it day and night, doing it better and better every day, learning new skills, learning new talents, learning how to be with her husband, her children, and learning to create this beautiful home. It didn't come easy. It took a lot of courage, prayer, sacrifice, all the things. She persevered, and to the end, she was the most loving mama anyone could have. So yesterday, my sisters and I put together all the memorial flowers for my mother, and it was such a beautiful time together, and the flowers turned out amazing. We just used beautiful garden roses in the butter yellow color, and then in a white. Her favorite color was green, so we wanted it to be very lush and beautiful. And actually, we used greenery from everybody's gardens. So all of my sisters love to garden, and brothers, and so we used some from the home place, my parents' house, and then we used greenery from my house and another couple sisters. But it turned out just very, very perfect for my mom. So today what I'm doing is I'm here in my parents' grape little vineyard plot, and I'm cutting some grapevine to make a wreath that is going to be laid on her grave. Now, she had a love for magnolia, and so my idea is that I'm just gonna make this beautiful wreath. My dad's actually gonna help me do it, and we're just gonna put some magnolia leaves in it and some evergreens, and just keep it all green and fresh and beautiful for that way. So I'm gonna start by cutting some of these whips and put together a I think I'm just, it'll be about like this, which is maybe 24 inches, maybe less. I don't know. We'll see how it comes out. Grapevine are funny. So now I have to just find some longer whips, and we'll start. So I have a few sticks here that I'm just gonna kind of bend into shape. Grapevine is one of those things where this is the time of year you want to actually do something with it. If you're going to make grapevine wreaths, a lot of times we make them a year in advance. I'm going to take the longest one first, and I'm just going to you'll hear it kind of crackle. It's been raining lately, so they're a little bit moist, but sometimes they'll crack just a little bit, and you just want to there it goes. Kind of give it a little, bend with your hand like that to get it to shape, and then you get this nice round wreath. So we're gonna take our longest one, and we're just gonna kind of hold it against and kind of wrap around. And so that's the start, where I just kind of twirled it under each other like that. I'm just gonna keep winding in. It's almost like basket weaving. You just kind of twirl around. my mom and dad worked on this vineyard together. This was their dream, this little plot of grape. I'm glad I'm able to use the fruits of my mom's labor. She'd be out here trimming vines and out in the vineyard every night working. And so it's kind of fun to be able to use something that she worked so hard on. Drive down a country road. I think, you know, my parents did that as a way of, with their coffee in hand. It's just an inexpensive way to entertain themselves and us children. And so I thought how fitting this weekend to go for a little jaunt. And so my sister and I are heading out and just enjoying the backcountry roads and some coffee and some just good chatter about our mama. And yeah, it's just really healing and therapeutic, and it's, yeah, beautiful to be in nature for sure. It's very healing. Out here just in an area where there's it's a wildlife refuge for birds, and it's a natural migration pattern that comes through over by our house. And it's just, my mom had this amazing love for birds, especially like hummingbirds and all the kind of native little sparrows, nuthatches, little yellow house finches and things like that. So I thought, what a better way to spend this morning than go hunting for birds. Not like hunting, but just, you know, looking at nature and the birds. And there's so much wildlife around us. It's so beautiful. Her memories will live on in all the photographs, all the smiles from each one of my siblings to our own children. There's little bits of her all around us, and that is true comfort. So the home may be simply decorated this year, but again, it is so fitting and so beautiful, and I have these precious memories to carry with me at this season of life. To everyone who has lost a loved one, or especially at the holiday times when it is so difficult, I want to say a special I'm sorry for your loss. We are with you, and we thank each and every one of you for your warm greetings, blessings, and care over this time in our family. So until next time, much success in all you do and grow, and we'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House very soon. Bye-bye.